Now to draft the top part, I have two fabrics here, two pieces of fabric. I've placed them right sides facing. I'm just going to pin them so that they don't move. Yeah, like that. So now I'll be folding this fabric like this. Remember, I still have my two pieces right sides facing. They're still in place, so I'm just folding this like this. Then I'll be pinning it down because the fabric is not cooperating, so I'll pin it down like that. So I've made sure my fabric is flat. Now I'm just marking a point, my starting line, on top of this fabric like that. And for my case, my starting point is 7 inches from the shoulder, so you can make yours 8 or whatever you feel like, but I'm using 7. And because it's 7 inches from the shoulder, whenever I'll be taking my measurements, I'll make sure my 7-inch is on that starting point. Now I'm marking my bust point, then my under bust point, and the next measurement I'm marking is my waist measurement, like that. Then from the waist measurement, I'm coming down 2 inches. I came down 2 inches, so I marked it at 18. Yeah, so like that. I'm just confirming my bust to under bust measurement, and it's 3 inches, so I'm marking that on the bust point, and I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance. I'm duplicating that to my this line, the last line that I drew. Then I'm just connecting with a straight line. On my starting point, I'm marking 1 inch, then I'm just connecting to the bust point to the curve, and that is it. I'll just be cutting this out. Then I'll then grab my lining pieces, and I'll place them like this. Then I'll fold them like I folded the main fabric. Then I'm just pinning it like this. Then I'll cut it out. Now I'm taking off the first pin, and I'll pin this main fabric like this. Then I'm just going to reduce the volume in this top part, because I won't be pulling gathers on the lining piece. The gathers will just be pulled on the main fabric. The top has some two slight gathers on the bust, on the top bust area. I'll pop that on the screen so that you can see what I'm talking about, but then I don't need that on my lining. For the bottom part of the dress, I have cut out this rectangle piece, which is 22 inches long, and the wideness is my waist circumference multiplied by 2 plus 2 inches, which gives me 64. Then I have a smaller piece of fabric which is 15 inches long, and the wideness is the exact amount as the other one because it's a 2-layered skirt dress. Moving on to stitching, I'm grabbing my top pieces and I'm just extending my under bust point. Then I'm confirming what I have here from the top, and I'm duplicating the same on the lining piece. Then I'm just extending the line like so. Now from the corner, I'm coming in 2 inches. I basically want to create a dart here. Here for the top part to be more, to have shape, yeah, to give the top part some shape, because that's basically the purpose of a dart, to give these pieces shape. So I'm coming out 1/2 inch on both sides, and I'll just create some darts here that I'll be going to stitch down, and I'll do the same thing on this lining piece. I'll create darts on both sides like this. So I'm just giving a notch so that the piece beneath will get an idea of what we are doing at the top. The next thing I want to do is to stitch a gather stitch on this top so that I can pull gathers. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to stitch the gather stitch, and I decided to extend the dart to somewhere in the middle, because when I stitched this dart with the 2 inches that I had drafted earlier, it didn't give me the shape I wanted. So I determined the midpoint. I'm just determining the midpoint of this piece, then I'm extending the dart. You see, I had stopped here, now I'm extending it to the midpoint. Okay, there's nothing complicated here. I'm just extending the dart to the midpoint like this. So I'm going to do that, then I'll be back. As you can see, I've extended the darts, so it's like it's forming something like a seam all through. Now I'll go ahead and pull these gathers at the top of these pieces. This is what they're looking like after pulling gathers. Now I'll grab this piece that I'll use as the strap that is passing over the shoulder, and it is 3 inches wide and the length is 23, but I'll cut it out later. So when you're cutting, just make it 20, make it 20 or 21 there, because I did cut out later. Now I'm just folding it like this, then I'm going to stitch all through. I'm going to stitch both sides, making it just to create my strap, of course. Once my strap was ready, I'm grabbing my top pieces like so, and this is how I'm going to put in my straps. I'm going to place them like so, then I'll just pin them, and I'm just pinning them like that. Now just grabbing my lining pieces, and this is how I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to pin it on top, making sure my strap is pinned down at the top. Then I'm just going to pin it all round the places that you can see me pinning. I know you can see where I'm pinning, so I'm just going to pin it all round, and I'll repeat the same thing to this other piece, and I'm going to stitch it all round like so. That was done, and this is what I have. You can see I've stitched all around, and you can see that I'm just cutting out the hanging threads because you want your work to be neat. Then I'm still cutting out this piece because it appeared to be too long, so I did cut out like about 2 inches. Yeah, so that's it. Then I'm just trimming it off, and I'll turn this to the right side. After trimming off the excess at the bottom, like you saw me doing, I'm going to fold it in like this. I'm going to fold this bottom part like so. I know you can see how I'm folding this thing. So I'm just going to pin it down, then I'll head over to the sewing machine and I'll stitch the down part. So I repeat the same thing on both the pieces. I'm just going to neaten this base, this bottom of these pieces. This is what I have after stitching the base. Now from this place where I created my dart, I'm going to come up 2 inches. Now on these 2 inches is where I'll be placing this my strap, which is 3 inches wide. So I'm going to stitch it in to about leaving like 2 inches in the middle. So after stitching, I'm stitching it to about half an inch on both sides. Okay, so see, when I take half an inch on both sides, I'll remain with 2 inches. Now I'm just going to pin it down, and I'll stitch that out later. Yeah, so it will be looking like that. Then these are the straps that will be used to tie to the back. So they are 19 inches long, so I'll just be stitching them on these areas where I created my dart, which is my underbust point. That's where I'll be stitching my straps that I'll be using to tie to my back. So we are going to stitch the lower part of the dress. So I have this long piece of fabric in which I'm going to stitch a gather stitch at the top, 2 gathering stitches actually, and at the bottom I'm folding just the way that you've seen me showing you. Then on this other piece, I'm stitching 2 gather stitches at the top, 2 loose stitch, and on the bottom I'll be folding it like this. Okay, all through, all the way. Now as you can see, I've stitched 2 gather stitches at the top, and at the bottom I've folded all round, all the way, like I've basically folded the whole piece. Then I'll just be pulling my gathers at the top part like so. So I'm just going to pull these gathers all through, till the end, mpaka mwisho. I'll pull it to about my waist circumference plus 2 inches because I need some allowance to stitch this. So can you see, I'm still pulling and arranging my gathers so that they can be arranged, they can look equal, because you don't want one side to have many gathers and the other side to have less gathers. So you'll just have to arrange them and confirm if it's reaching to your waist circumference plus 2 inches. Now I did the same thing to this longer piece of camera. You can see I've folded the down part, and the top part I have pulled my gathers. Now this is how I'm placing them. The longer piece has the right side facing up, and I'm placing on it this shorter piece, still the right side is facing up. So I've placed them like that, and I've stitched the this waistline. I've stitched down the waistline. Now I'm just grabbing my waistband, which is 4 inches wide, and the length is my waist circumference plus 2 inches. So I'm just going to stitch this all round. Yeah, like that. So I've stitched it down, and this is what it is looking like from the wrong side after stitching. Now this is how I'm going to fold in my band. Let me first bring this thing closer for you guys to see. I'm going to pull it like this, and guys, when I was doing this, I thought I'll be stitching in my lining, but then I changed my mind because I have 2 layers already. So I thought there's no need to add in my lining. So at this point, if you want, you can just, if you don't have a weaving machine, that is, you can just fold this thing in. But if you have a weaving machine, you can stitch it the way I'm stitching, or alternatively, you can weave this top part, this part that I'm folding, you can weave it first, then come and pin it the way I'm pinning, then you'll just stitch this part. Yeah, so let me flip this thing to the right side to show you how it is looking. Can you see? So that's what it is looking. I've already stitched, and you can see I've stitched it down, and that is what it is looking. Now I'm just going to put it like this, and I'm going to stitch down this back seam, and I'll add in my zipper. I'm using an invisible zipper. So that is done. Now this is what I have. Can you see? Let me pull it down. That's my zipper. You can see it's already respecting me and sitting there peacefully. Yeah, so that's what it is looking like. Now I'm just marking the center front, the center front part. Then I'm grabbing my top pieces and I'm laying them on the table like that. Then I'm confirming what is in between. So in between I have 1.5 inch. Well, now this 1.5 inch, I'm going to divide it into 2. And this 1.5, after dividing it into 2, I'm going to mark whatever I get on both sides. The reason why I'm doing this is to get the appropriate place to stitch down my top pieces for them to look neat and to look professional and even. Yeah, so that's why I am making sure they'll be standing at an equal distance away from the center front. Then I'll just be pinning them down, as you can see me pinning, and I'll be heading over to the sewing machine and I'll be stitching this down. And that will be basically it for this video. I'll just stitch that down, then I'll put this on a mannequin so that you can see what it is looking like. Yeah, so that is it. Thank you so much guys for watching. See you on the next one. Bye for now.